Hi, it's Mo Bunnell, your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I'm the author of The Snowball System, and I and my team have trained almost 20,000 experts all over the world on sound, effective, and authentic. That's the most important thing, authentic business development techniques. I just had an absolute blast interviewing Marissa King, who wrote Social Chemistry. She's a Yale PhD professor, and she's written an amazing, meaty book on how relationships are formed and how networks are built, and specifically what you can do to optimize yours, to help the most and be helped the most. And I absolutely love this book. The alignment is just 100% with what we teach in the Snowball System and in our Grow Big trainings. But the overlap in what we teach is actually quite small. So it's 100% aligned in the same direction, but these are just a perfect pairing of two books and two great pieces of content that you can put together. So in this episode, I'm going to recap the top 3 things that I learned in the prior 4 episodes as we interviewed Marissa. Just had a ball doing that. And I can't wait to share these with you. I'm going to apply these specifically to business development, specifically to you, folks in our audience with one foot in the delivery of some expert-driven complex service and one foot into retention and growth, business development. So before we get into the big 3 things, know that if you want our best thinking on how rainmakers think, you can get that in our Grow Big playbook. It's a quick read, gives you the 8 specific ways that rainmakers think differently and how they approach growing their book of business, deepening their relationships, and taking their career to the next level. And the way you get that is you go to growbigplaybook.com. Now that's pretty efficient, don't you think? Grow Big Playbook is at growbigplaybook.com. So head over there and get that, and you get it right away. You get an instant download. It's about an 8-minute read, and it gives you the top 8 things that you should be thinking about. All right, so let's get into Marissa. Not only is she just a dynamic person, but her research and her writing style and the way that she conveys information is really, really powerful. And the 3 things that I got, and I'm mashing up a little bit, reading the book with the actual 4 interviews, but we covered such great stuff in the interviews. The 3 big things that I got is the first is knowing your network helps you know what to do next. Now, she talked about the 3 major networks. I won't recap that a ton because I want you to go back and listen to 4 episodes ago. The first one I taped with her, recorded with her. She goes into great detail and you can hear it in her words. But the 3 major types of networks are conveners and brokers and expansionists. And what I thought was really interesting about what she taught us is that if you know which type of network you've built or want to build, then you know what to do to take it to the next level. For instance, the idea that conveners were really focused on bringing people together a lot. Obviously, that's the name. And those are particularly well suited for people that promote or provide some type of roughly ambiguous service. Well, that's a lot of you in this audience. So I was thinking of a high stakes trial lawyer. Well, what you do is very ambiguous. In some cases, you might be working on some board level situation where it is a sort of a bet the entire organization on this particular case. And in other cases, you might work in you might be defending against insurance claims, or there's just a million different things that you could do. And having a network that lets people talk to each other about you across different disciplines could be really powerful because people are able to convey the value you provide in some ways better than you can even provide or convey. So I thought that was interesting. And then when we think about broker relationships, the idea that Marissa gave us, that the key to that is you sort of keep people at bay from meeting each other, because the whole idea is to hire you to bring them together. Executive search is a great example. We work with Sotheby's, the high-end art auctioneers, putting buyers and sellers together for a very high-end, multi-million-dollar pieces of art. Commercial insurance brokers. There's all kinds of different brokers that are out there. And generally speaking, you're in the middle all the time. That's sort of by definition what you do. And Marissa taught us, for folks like that, that really thinking with empathy from all sides and knowing when to bring people together is really key. And then for expansionists, the idea of really, really broad networks, the trick to that is keeping everybody warm, so to speak, throughout your network and trying to find some ways to scale and do it that way. I thought that was interesting. So anyway, the thing that she shared that I thought is really powerful, you can get those 3 models in the book. You can also go to assessyournetwork.com, assessyournetwork.com. And that's, you answer a couple quick questions. There's a video from Marissa at the top of that page that describes the 3 areas. And it'll actually spit out the other end with the type of network that you got. And I think that's super, super helpful because while there's some little tests you can do in the book, this guides you right through it and gives you the answer so you don't have to guess. Especially as I find with me, I'm a hybrid a little bit of all 3. So it was interesting to know how that sorted out. And I got that very practical results from the website where I was guessing a little bit when I went through the book. And the website's free, so why not? So assessyournetwork.com. If you know what you're trying to build or where you're at, you can know what to do. Really, really powerful. The second big thing that I noticed and I really got from Marissa, I've thought about this a lot before, but the way she said it was so interesting, is relationships are formed in moments. We've used the words moments of truth for when somebody comes to you and they need help finding a job, or they need help networking. Their son or daughter is going to graduate from college and they're going to look for in a year and they're looking for an internship. Or there's these times when someone comes to you where the effort that you put forth in those times is multiplicatively more important than other times. You know it when you see it. And that's what we call moments of truth. Those are time when you want to double down. You want to go to the mat working hard for that person. In the job seeking example, when you help somebody find a job, there's clearly no expectation of anything in return, at least in the short term, because you don't know where they're going to wind up. They're certainly not going to buy your services right now unless you help people find jobs. But, helping somebody in a moment like that is the kind of thing that they remember forever. And I've had people tell me in the job search process that people that they thought were really good friends all of a sudden don't return their calls, and people that they barely knew go crazy to help them. And it's in those moments where you want to lock on to those people that have gone crazy to help you, in those sort of moments of truth, that you really want to have a long-term relationship. That's when you really find out what kind of relationships you've got in a moments of truth kind of situation. So while we've used that terminology before, I had never thought about Marissa's concept that we're creating our relationships just in moments. Are we paying attention? Are we truly listening? Are we looking for follow-ups? Are we following up when we promise it? Are we doing the things we said we would do? Are we looking, it's cliche, I know, but are we thinking outside the box to help this person? Not in just direct ways we can commercially help them, but are we thinking in the other ways? Are we finding out what they really want and looking for ways to help them in that, regardless of if it positively impacts us or not in the short term? Are we truly trying to help the person as a human being in that moment? And that means listening, being present, looking for ways to help, asking for help potentially, but just having this truly human-based, mutually beneficial relationship. And the tip she gave of just simple things: put your phone aside, pay attention, ask follow-up questions, look for uncommon commonalities. A lot of things you've heard me say dozens of times, but actually doing it is really huge. And I'm so happy this year. If you're a longtime viewer or listener, all the way back to episode 1 when I talked to Kelly O'Hara, defensive star of the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team, football team. We went really deep into how she measures success and some things I was doing at the time, and specifically focusing on things we can control. So measuring what we call leading indicators, effort. What are the hours I spend in running in different aspects of the business, like business development, platform building, running the business, delivery, things like that. Picking 3 things a week, most important things that we call them, and then being on the hook to do them. They're growth oriented. They're big impact, in our control, and growth oriented. BIG, big impact, in our control, and growth oriented. When we write 3 things a week, that we're on the hook to do that are long-term in nature. They have a big impact. We write them so they're in our control. That way we can't let ourselves off the hook. And they're growth-oriented. They're the things that nobody's really asking you to do typically, but they're the things you know you've got to do today so that a year from now you'll be really happy you did it. Things like that are leading indicators. And last year, I think because the pandemic hit, I started tracking some more conceptual things, more broad-based things, and I tracked, am I happy or not? And I just ranked myself on a 1 to 5 scale. When the world locked down, I had a couple 3 weeks out of 5. It's the lowest I've been in a while. And tracking that, was I happy or not, just on a anecdotal, like just thumb to the wind kind of just, how was it? Answer it in 10 seconds, 3 seconds. That 1 to 5 scale really helped me orient around, am I having a good time? Am I doing the things I want? And I can react to it if I just have a weekly trigger to rank myself with these other leading indicators. And I switched that at the beginning of this year because I realized after a year of tracking that, or about a year, that was I happy or not over the course of a week was a bit of a lagging indicator. It helped me think about the next week, but a little bit, but not much. So I changed the definition. So instead of tracking, am I happy, or was I happy in the prior week, I just started tracking, was I present? Well, that's something that's closer to what I can control. Happiness can sort of ebb and flow a little bit. There's a lot of external things happening. Is it going to rain today? Do I have a low pressure headache? Am I sore from a workout? I mean, you can have a million things that happen that are good or bad. But am I present? That was something I could nearly 100% be in control of. When I'm talking to Becky, my wife, am I really listening? Am I locked in? Or am I distracted by sending a text or the news on TV or whatever? And that switch early this year to was I present, that was really helpful. Just a thumb to the wind answer once a week. I put it in a little spreadsheet with the other things I mentioned, the different hours, my MITs, a couple other things, how many miles I ran that week, just running on the roads and trying to exercise. And that one switch to measuring am I present has really made a difference for me. And the way Marissa defined it when we're talking to somebody else was a better definition than I'd ever heard before. So I'm going to carry that through into my spreadsheet. Really excited about that. The last thing, and you've heard me say this before, but the way Marissa said it actually came up in 2 of the episodes, and I love the science that she dropped around it, is we have to ask for help. I want to say it I want to pound my fist on the table, but I won't do it. I can't tell you how many sessions, how many Grow Big trainings we've led in the past several months where, we've trained a couple thousand people just in the last year with our full-fledged comprehensive system called Grow Big, all the stuff that's in Snowball System, but the live, we're going to guide you through it version. And I can't tell you how many deep technical experts, the kind of folks we train, are resistant to ask for help. And I'm at the point where I don't understand it. I used to. But at this point, I've asked for help so much in really authentic, bite-sized chunks from various people. And I think this is actually close to true. I think I get a response 90 or 95% of the time positively. Love to help. When can I do it? Let me know. Maybe that's because we give so much in what we do. But I think more so it's the fact that people love helping. And whenever I bring the concept up in a training class, maybe because people haven't done it before, they're resistant to asking for help. Well, I don't want to put the client out, or that sounds like a lot to ask. I can remember back in my days of being a senior leader at a big consulting firm, and we were so scared to ask for help. And this is 20 years ago, but it was amazing how we just kept going back to the same people to be reference checks for us. I mean, really wearing them out and not broadening the base to other people. And I realize now that was a big mistake. Asking somebody to be a reference, asking somebody to introduce you to somebody else, asking for somebody to review a one-pager for a new offering you're thinking about, asking somebody to review an outreach strategy to a client, asking somebody to review the outline for a webinar you're thinking about doing, asking your clients and our external strategic partners to help us is one of the fastest ways to get great ideas, to enhance our network, and to give somebody the good feeling of feeling helpful. It's one of the, and Marissa quoted it. She's a PhD. She's done some of this research herself. Asking someone for help is one of the most powerful ways to deepen a relationship. And it's helpful for you because you're going to get assistance, because you're going to get help for something. That's the definition. But it actually helps the other person because it gives them the good feeling of helpfulness. And I think as the world gets more complex and more diverse and more digital, I think we're going to run into a glut of not feeling helpful enough, not feeling like we have meaning, things like that. And when we ask somebody for help, they have a feeling of meaning. That feeling of helping someone else is really deep, and it correlates to likability. It correlates to feeling good about yourself, and it obviously correlates to good ideas because you're in progress because you're asking others for assistance. So those are my big three things from Marissa. I thoroughly enjoyed the interview. She's a gem of a person. You can just see it as she talks, and her content is absolutely amazing. Can't recommend Social Chemistry enough. I really loved it. And if you do want to get that online assessment of your network, of which of the three types you are, convener, broker, or expansionist, you just go to assessyournetwork.com and answer a couple of questions, and out pops the other end what type of a network you've got now. Once you know that, you can move forward. So I hope this was helpful. If you didn't listen to the 4 episodes before with Marissa, I really highly recommend it. They were fantastic. And I really hope all of this content we're providing you helps you take your book of business, your relationships, and your career to the next level. Thanks.